All right, guys, we're going to talk real quick about belly and how we do it. I know there's a lot of different ways to run this play. I don't know if our way is the best way, but it is our way. The way that we do it, we hang our hat on it. We really like what this adds to our offense. We started really focusing on this play the past 2 years, and I think it's been a pretty big part of our success. Getting into just if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to me. It's right there. I'm not going to go through a long biography. We're just going to get right to the nuts and bolts of this play. So taking a look at the advantages of this play, why we like it. It's a great downhill non-read play. So the quarterback's struggling to read, or if you guys are new to the offense, this is a good one to have. It's a way to force the ball to your B-back because if you're reading everything, then teams can take away that player. And so you need to have ways to force it to them. So we've got this, and then zone dive, both of which are going to force that ball to the B-back, which is crucial to setting everything else up in the offense. The other thing that's cool about this play is it takes advantage of the pinch-centric defenses that we see because everybody is riding tackles on their releases. This ties directly into this part right here with the down scheme is pretty difficult for a C-gap defender to deal with. If he's getting heavy hands on the offensive tackle as he releases to the second level, it's a whole nother world when you start adding a down block as he's chasing that hip of the tackle. He's got a tight end ear hole, and that's a tough deal for any defensive lineman. It's why we like it. And then the other thing that we like about it is that it's like a fire and forget type of play. Like, we don't have to scheme it up with all kinds of tags. It's a good play early in the game when you're still trying to figure out what front the defense is kind of settling into and how they're wanting to play your core option plays. So it's a good one there early just to get things figured out. And then the last thing there, it just really gives our tackles who are not our best one-on-one blockers, it gives them an opportunity to play physical with great angles on a guy. So with them coming down with a severe angle on the down block, it really helps them be physical. Now, to the title of this presentation, Bruce Lee and the Belly G, we obviously have to hear from Bruce Lee. Some of the stuff that we talk about here is really, when I was first learning this, it was really hard for me to wrap my head around. And you kind of have to do what he talks about here, free your mind, and just trust that if you're going to run your tracks, everything's going to work out. And so we'll let him go and then kind of carry that forward.
This is what it is, okay? I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
So that's an important quote for how we do it, because with the way that we block this play, and you'll see it here on the next slide, we could be running against a 4-2 with a 3 technique and a play side 6-eye, and depending on how the defense wants to step, it's going to fit out different ways. The guard, if that 6-eye rides the tackle down hard, he's going to probably end up getting down blocked by the tight end, and the guard will end up kicking most likely the outside backer. But if that defensive end is slow and allows the tight end to get underneath him, then he's going to end up getting kicked. So you never really know how it's going to play out. And so that's why we kind of refer back to that Bruce Lee idea of, you're going to be shapeless, formless, and kind of take the shape of not the vessel, but how the defense fits you. So that's a key to success, is just kind of opening yourself up to that. The other thing which ties into it is you do not have guys, you have tracks. And so, that's why this play is a great fire and forget play that you don't have to scheme up. If the guys just trust their tracks, everything's going to work out. Make him keep up with you is one of the things. If you were to come to our practice, you're going to hear me say that a lot to our tight ends. And that's going to refer to us playing like a defense that's giving the tight end a 6-eye. We are going to inside release with the intent of getting underneath that 6-eye. And the coaching point to that tight end is make him keep up with you. Don't slow down, don't hesitate. And if he wants to come down hard and ride with you, then go ahead and block him. But most times we're going to get underneath it because he's not prepared to keep up with us, and then that's the guy that ends up getting kicked. And the guard's really just going to play off of however that goes, which ties us into this next part where the check mark is what we call the technique that the play side guard is going to use, and it's crucial that he stays square in his hips on his first few steps, and that he gets back to vertical on his release. So let's take a look at the rules here. We kind of talked about a lot of these, but another key thing that we haven't touched on that we will in a bit is the play side A-back. He's taking the best path to the play side backer, and the big thing here is he wants to leave no air here. Chasing the outside foot, this would be if we were running into a two-man surface to a three-man surface with the tight end. He's going to kind of fold off the outside hip of the tight end's down block. Okay, so this is getting back to the whole Bruce Lee kind of fit however the defense fits type of deal. So this is a defense that we see a lot. Where we're seeing a 4-2 with a 3 technique and a 6-eye. And so it can play out a couple different ways. And so this first way would be if these guys were just like in an up scheme. So the tackle would be down on the 3. We're telling the Y, make him keep up with you. So we're releasing flat. In this case, if the defensive end is not able to keep up with him, the tight end is working all the way to the backside linebacker, and this is the guy that ends up getting kicked. We're not worried about him because we're thinking we're holding him with our option fake. We do carry belly option, so that's going to hold those guys there. And then our play side A-back, if he can get underneath the end here, he will. So he's gonna be on that outside hip of the tight end until he can't clear it. If that guy's riding hard, then he'll slide off and end up picking here. The big thing is just leaving no air in this area for the Mike to run under. So the second way that this defense can fit out is like this. So let's say that the defensive end does keep up with our tight end. He's going to end up getting washed, which is going to create a big mess for this guy to run through and give our center a chance to get up to it. And then this would be a situation where the A-back would be vertical and kind of slide slightly and end up picking up the mic, and then the guard is going to end up kicking this guy if he fits. If this guy were to fit outside or chase the pitch, which a lot of teams in our conference do, then the guard's just going to keep rolling with it. So that's just taking a look at how, why we wanted Bruce Lee it. And we've got a video example of that now too. This is from 2016. This is our first year running the offense. And so we were playing this team, and they were a field-based team in their defense. And so we started to get unbalanced into the boundary, and they would keep their strength at field. So, I know like a better play call here is probably zone dive, just because of this crease that we have and how this guy was playing action at him. But here we've got belly called, and when we were doing it this year, we had it set where we were blocking guys and we weren't on tracks. And so with how it played out, we've got a 6-eye here, so the tight end or the over tackle here is going to man block him. And then we're down, and then we're not check marking here. We're just trying to run this guy outside to kick whatever showed. And you can see what happens when we do it that way. You end up with this crease that allows for run-throughs, and we don't want any of this air here. So what we do now is we have this guy flat as heck, working to that backside linebacker, and really taking all the air out of this gap. Because we were man blocking this, you have all this air. It makes it easy for a linebacker to fit, and it's also a pretty tough block to get a 6-eye and get lateral movement. On this play, we're trying to collapse the edge, and right here we get a stalemate and C-gap, and that's going to kill the play right now. So by bypassing this guy, it allows us to get lateral movement, get a kick here, and then we're good to go. So this is why we went to the way that we do it now, so that we can eliminate those issues that we're having. Okay, so real quick, just quarterback mechanics. He's stepping as deep as possible, and he's trying to get the ball back to the B-back as deep as possible so the B-back can make things happen, because we don't know at what point the B-back's going to be entering the line of scrimmage, so he needs to have that ball early. And then we're also going to make sure that we carry out a good option fake to the edge, trying to pull anybody that might fit in late on the B-back. B-back footwork, he's while in his stance, he's just going to take a 6-inch lateral step and then get downhill to the inside leg of the tackle. And we want him really matching steps with the play side guard and staying on his inside hip until that guard ends up logging a guy, which happens, but not as often as you would think. And then a key block here is just the play side A-back. He's taking a play side vertical step with his play side foot. You can see here, steal the pocket change in the down block. He's thinking the play side linebacker, but we're going to be all over him about running his track. And then the coaching point that we have right here is chew the hip. And so making sure that our ear hole is on the hip socket of that linebacker that we're blocking. We're not allowed to cut. So this is as close as we can get to doing that without actually getting to the ground. I've got a good look at it for you right here. It's a sophomore A-back last year. Does a really good job chewing the hip and kind of feeding off the down scheme that we get here. So you can see, love the pad level. You can see him feeling out the tight end as he releases down. So this would be an example of that defensive end keeping up with the tight end. Our guard doesn't see it well, so we end up burning 2-on-1. But because this guy's running to pitch, it ends up working out all right. But I really like the pad level here by our A-back. Does a really good job getting that guy turned, and then we're rolling. Another key block on this is going to be the check mark block by the play side guard. You can see that we want to stay as square as possible and then retrace. It's called a check mark because it looks like a check mark. And he's going to log or kick the first thing outside the end down block. So here's a good look at it here. I really like this clip because this guy is a really tight 5 who ends up riding our tackle down and then bouncing out. And because our guard stays on his path, he's able to pick that up. This is probably the hardest fit that you're going to get, especially when you're running it to a 2-man surface. So you can see him stay square. A-back kind of helped out a little bit because he wasn't expecting that tackle to be on the outside hip of our tackle. Does a good job, though, understanding that, we're moving to the next guy. And what this is also a really good illustration of is why we have tracks. So, if we were man blocking this, the blocking scheme would probably go something like, all right, you have the 4 technique or the heavy 5, you've got to get to the play side backer, and then we're kicking whatever's out here. So if we were to play it out like that, we would end up getting a stalemate here, and then you can see how this linebacker fits it tight and tries to go inside. So that's why I really like how we do it with our tracks. It really saves us, and these guys can stunt all they want, and as long as our guys are disciplined in what they do, it's going to work out. So that's what that check mark looks like. Okay, so here's what it looks like on paper against a 4-2. You've already seen it a couple times. Feel free to pause it and sketch it out, but we're going to move right on. So here we are running it to the top against that 4-2. One of the things you'll see here on this play is another reason why I like this play is, if we're getting penetration, this is not a dead play because with all of the other stuff that we do, we're doing all of our ball mechanics right at the heel line of our offensive lineman. This is a way for us to get off the line of scrimmage, and while we don't want penetration, if we have it, it's not going to be a play killer. So you can see it right there. We get these guys running up the field, but do a really good job cleaning up the edge. I don't like our guard's path. I don't want to be able to see his numbers from here that early. He needs to be more vertical. Ends up working out though because again, it's all set up by this defensive end, number 54 here, staying inside the tight end allows him to down block it. This guy's chasing pitch, so our guard is able to get away with poor technique there. Here's another look at it coming down here to the bottom. He's really tight, so he's going to be able to get right on the hip. I really like the pad level. I'd like him to run his feet though, so he can maintain it. Another sophomore A-back doing a really good job here with low pads. I'd like to have him a little bit more firmness on the hip. And again, that you got that outside linebacker chasing. And this is same game, same coaching point for this kid. You're opening up too early. You can see that foot stepping behind him. If this guy were to play heavy, we're gonna be in bad shape. So the coaching point here is to have him stay square and then work inside to out, because right now he's not set up for success if he got an inside move here. Okay, so what it looks like on a down or on an odd front. Key thing here with this is for your play side tackle or your play side Y, they need to make sure they're working to this guy and not this one. I've got a clip in here where we try to jump here, and so you'll be able to see that. But we need to work to the backside linebacker, and so here's a good look. So what we've got here, we've got good and bad. So we're running belly up top. Good job by the tackle coming down. Again, you can see why this down scheme is hard. This doesn't need to be a knockout shot. In fact, I'd like him a little bit lower. I'd like him really stinging the hip socket of this guy. Good initial step by our guard. I'd like him to keep the square shoulders a little bit longer. You can see our quarterback getting that ball to the B-back as deep as he can. And then you can see our tackle working to the backside linebacker, who ends up taking a pretty bad path. And you can see, so a coaching point here, one of the things that we can't do is what our center does here. He kind of vacates. He's a little bit too wide on his first step, and our guard doesn't do a good job getting underneath him. So I'll pause it at that point. Like right here, this air we can't have. We can't have air in that gap. They've got to be working hip to hip. So he's got to slow down and let him come underneath it. And we also need a better first step by our guard. You can see he's really not flat enough. I'd like him to open his hip a little bit more to the sideline and try to get to this far leg of the nose guard. It ends up working out, but we against better teams we're not going to be able to get away with that. Here's another look at it against an odd front. This is from last year, so a lot of the same guys you saw in that last cut, but just a year younger. You can see our center gets owned there. He needs to take a better first step and get underneath those pads and try to get to that play side leg. This is the coaching point I was talking about, where we need this guy getting to the backside linebacker, not climbing here. This is second game of the season. We've got a lot of young guys up here, and so we're making mistakes that we don't normally make. But that's the coaching point that we gave to this guy here, is we got to get to the backside. You can see the A-back does a really good job of feeling out this block on the tackle or the tight end, leaving no air there, and does a pretty good job there. Okay, against an under front, the only thing that really changes with this is against a shade, the tackle has to give late help to the center. Because our center's role is he's got all of A-gap, but he needs to expect some late help as this guy's climbing to the second level. So you see here, we're running it up top. We're not flat enough here, but again, you can see because we're getting the ball off the line of scrimmage, it's okay. In perfect world, we pin this, we don't get penetration here. But because of the depth of the handoff, we're all right on that. The other thing that we have here is this. Again, the same guy stepping underneath himself. Roll up. Don't keep chasing stuff to the outside. Get upfield, and then you're there. Look at it from the end zone view. And there we are. Okay, so dressing it up. Here's how we do it. Really, we only do it one way, and that's just running it to a two-man surface. We just tag Grizz. And what that tells us is a couple things. Play side A-back now is chasing the foot of the down tackle, very similar to what he would do on zone dive, except it's going to be more lateral instead of vertical. And then it also tells our tackle that, against an odd front like this, he's going to have to slow down a little bit. He can't be as flat and as fast. So here is a look at it. This is what we did here is we kind of layered two tags. This is a pretty unique defense. If you listen to Coach Vass and Make Defense Great Again, he talks a lot about this as a veer buster. We saw that this year where they've got these two guys stacked up tight. So basically what's happening is if a linebacker gets action to him, he's spiking A, and then this guy's scraping over the top, trying to fold into C gap at an angle that you don't normally work at. And so what we did to combat that is getting into flex here. We tagged this guy on to block the place on linebacker, which was end up being this scrape guy. And so here's how it plays out. So our tackle's down on the 4-eye. Again, this is why we like it. He doesn't need to be physical. He actually gets worked here by the 4-eye, but because we hit the line of scrimmage so quick, it's okay. So this is like, we have issues too. Like, our guys aren't world beaters. And so this is a way that we can help them be successful. So another thing you can see here, like, we're going to be really disciplined on Grizz with this guy. If we can get underneath the end with the A-back, we're going to, because, again, we're trying to eliminate all air. And so he does a really good job staying patient and getting underneath this end to get to a linebacker. And there we are. So take a look at it from the end zone. You can see those guys walked up. You'll see the spike here. Center does a good job of trying to get all of A. A-back does a good job running his track and picking up whatever shows up. And there we are. So here it is again. This is against the 4-2, and what you're going to see is this would be a situation where we actually log it. The place side guard is going to end up logging this guy who's pretty heavy. Does a good job getting him turned, and again, penetration doesn't kill us here because of where we're handing the ball off. You see it better from the end zone view. You get the down block down to the 2-eye by the tackle. Good log. We get up to the backer, and then we're into the end zone. So that's a look at how we run belly. I hope you got something out of it. Again, reach out to me if you have any questions or want any help.